Bruce Kittle here, Hidden Pearls podcast. I'm coming at you with another NFL father. Very proud, very excited to sit down for a few minutes with Ed Kelce to join us on the Hidden Pearls podcast as we follow up on the mysterious quandary that we've created thinking about mindful parenting. We don't even know what the hell it is. We're trying to figure out what we're doing in our lives, but we're going to have a little chat about that. So Ed is joining me from, let's see. Oh, no, you're in Philly, aren't you?
I'm in Philly. I'm in a suburb of Philly.
Yep.
Haverford Township.
Okay. Well, very good. So we are super happy to have you here. You know, it's I've only met Jason a couple times. You know, we were at the WWE thing. You guys did their thing and we saw him there and all that kind of stuff. But I'm an O-lineman, my background, so I've always followed his career and very much appreciated his play and all that kind of stuff. And I've gotten to know Travis pretty well anymore with Tight End University, and he's come by a couple times. So two really not only amazing football players, but really amazing young men. And so it's
Thank you.
Not that young anymore, but I guess compared to us anymore, everybody's kind of young.
Yeah. They're still kids.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's been really, really fun. Travis is a wonderfully energetic spirit, and we love having him around. So, okay, so we're going to chat. I just need to throw the disclaimer out there. So, unless I know otherwise, but neither Ed nor I are psychiatrists and or clinically trained in anything relating to parenting. So, we're going to talk about what we did, some of the mistakes we might have made, and some of the things that worked for us. There's no research behind it. There's no statistics or data that's going to say it's the right thing to do. We're just offering you some stories from our lives. So take what we have to say with a grain of salt. And again, so if you have real issues, other than that, see your child psychologist. So the other thing is, as always on the Hidden Pearls studio and podcast, this is a no shame, no blame kind of category. So we will be talking about some of the choices that we made in our lives as it relates to raising our kids. And what we offer is only suggestions for you guys. If you've done something different and it's working for you, or maybe it's not, whatever, this isn't about feeling bad about being the parent that you have been. So every day is a new day to move forward, and you can change whatever's been going on in your life, and you can make a difference today. So we're not doing that. We're just here to kind of offer some thoughts about what was going on. Plus, it's kind of fun to talk about what it's like to see kids go from crawling around to playing in the NFL. So that's pretty okay. All right. So Ed, I got a short bio. I just kind of winged this. So this is what I could find. So it's all good. Grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Your whole family had a lot of military stuff. So that's interesting because we've always been very supportive of the military. We got a bunch in our background as well, but had a bad knee, went Coast Guard, but then you had Crohn's disease, I think.
Yes.
Something like that. Okay. And then returned to Cleveland Heights, I believe, area, got enrolled in the old steel mills. We'll have to talk about that. Back in the day, you remember Bob Stoops from Oklahoma, but Bob and I played together at Iowa. And I visited Youngstown, Ohio in the middle of the 80s when, everything, the bottom had fallen out. And it was awful. Yeah.
Still hasn't recovered.
Okay. Yeah. I was just thinking about because what years would you have gone back? Was that in the 80s? When did you?
I started. I worked in, wasn't really steel mills. Through the 70s, I worked in a copper plant and steel foundry.
Okay. Yeah.
Both of those places, I got about 5 years in, and they didn't make it. All right.
Yeah.
Then I tore a disc in my back.
Yep.
And while I was recuperating, companies I had been working for shut down.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of landscaping then.
Okay.
I actually was doing landscaping when both boys were born.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, though, I got a job working for a company that supplied services to the steel industry.
Okay.
All right. Now, I had worked in, when I say a copper in the foundry, I worked at Republic Steel as a crane operator for a while. So, I knew my way around the mills, around a basic oxygen furnace, et cetera. So, basically did a lot of stuff with them, going around doing masonry repairs.
Okay.
And with some lots of technology that basically you took metal fuels in an oxygen-rich environment, sprayed them, mixed them in with ceramics, and sprayed them on a hot surface, and basically painted glass onto that surface.
Right.
Which repaired,
Yeah.
As long as you kept it hot, everything was good. So
right. Gotcha.
And after that, I did that for 5 years, 4 years between the two companies. Then the company was sold, and I was let go. And the very next day, they brought me in as an outside contractor. So I still work for them.
Gotcha.
I just went in the mills for a day rate plus expenses.
Right.
And from there, I picked up a few other lines, started going other places, and I kept looking for a job. But when the business was booming, you're making a good buck. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And when during the downturns, nobody was hiring. So
yeah,
should have taken one of those good jobs when business was booming. But
well,
the good thing about that is that afforded me the opportunity to take a primary role with caring for the kids, for the boys.
Right. I was
that
just
is, working with teachers, doctors, the whole 9 yards, and so that was a lot of fun. I mean, not a lot of people get to do that.
Yeah. Well, and that's some of the conversation we've had with folks is about some of the choices you make along the way, because they start getting older. When they're super little, and they're really fun, but you're kind of busting and working, but there gets a point where you kind of start seeing them how fast they're growing and wanting to spend a little bit more time with them and trying to make accommodations and find that balance between providing for the family, but the other side is being with the family and trying to be there with them and have a presence with them. So, yeah, and we don't have to go too far in the steel mills. I just know when we went to Youngstown and I think everything had been closed down, and those foundries are giant. I mean, they're these massive infrastructure.
The mills, unbelievable.
And we drove over to one of them and just kind of to walk through, because I wanted to see, I'd never been in one, because I'm from Iowa and that wasn't a thing and all that stuff. And so, we walked in and it just was this massive, and you could, all the stuff in the foundry areas and all, just seeing it. And it felt really eerie. And you just felt like the end of
it's almost like a Mad Max thing.
It was exactly
when you go through some of those places.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then, but you could see how that was the lifeline for that community for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Good paying jobs and all that kind of stuff. And then just to kind of evaporate that way. So that's just a whole nother piece, but part of the, I guess, legacy for, the East Coast and that, the big towns that were attached to the steel. So, okay. Well,
Pittsburgh, Buffalo, all of those towns.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Then rumor has it, you met Donna when she was on a blind date, going to meet up with some other dude, and you came in after work.
Which I didn't know anything about that. Okay, I was working for a contractor, and we went to this after work. Went to get a couple beers, and I've got a jumpsuit on that I've been with concrete, everything all over it. It just from working with my hands and all that, and having a couple beers, and met her on the deck of a place on the river in Cleveland, and we just ended up talking most of the evening, spent most of the night with each other. And this business about her being on getting ready for a blind date, I didn't hear about this till a few years ago. That was never brought up to me at the time.
Right.
Or it was brought up and I just didn't hear it.
Yeah. Well, that happens too. That happens all
yeah.
We were told, but we didn't hear it. Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting. I wonder who the guy was, but no matter. So, but anyway, so then eventually you guys, that all works out. You guys get married somewhere mid to late 70s?
83.
Oh, 83. Okay. All right. Pretty good.
We moved in together 1980.
Okay.
And got married in 83.
All right. And then life-changing with births to the two boys. So I've got Jason in November of 1987, and then in October of 1989, young little Travis comes rolling in.
Yes.
All right. So I think about 23 months apart. So, and then we'll kind of backtrack on all that kind of stuff. So which is kind of an interesting. So not quite 2 years apart as far as the brothers and all that. So George and Emma for us they're almost to the day 3 years apart. But anyway, that
Okay.
time frame is kind of interesting. So, all right, and then we're going to jump ahead and then we're going to come back. So anyway, they go through all this stuff. They graduated, I think, Cleveland Heights High School, played at Cincinnati, both of them.
Yes.
Jason, 6th round in 2011 to the Eagles. Travis, 3rd round, 2013 to the Chiefs. I have all their Pro Bowls and All Pros and Super Bowls and yada, yada. Anyway, they've had an unbelievable career.
Yeah, they have.
It's been crazy. Yeah. And most consecutive starts for Jason and, just what a great player. And then Travis, all the records and all that kind of stuff. So, and then they're super busy continuing on. And I have some of this in there, and people, I think, know Jason and Travis. And I don't mean to not get into that, but I really want to get us into talking about kind of what it was like raising them. So, so Jason, you guys have done all kinds of stuff. They did that nude photo shoot so Lane Johnson, when I was the offensive tackles tight ends coach at Oklahoma. So I had Lane Johnson before.
So you had Lane, all right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know Lane pretty well from those days. And anyway, so the Philly Special Christmas album, then they were at WrestleMania. We talked about that. And then there's the documentary Kelce. And then Travis is just, all over the place. So he's got his foundation, 87 and running. He's hosted Saturday Night Live. He's got the thing Chasing Kelce. And then, of course, his girlfriend's kind of well known as well. So that's all pretty good. And he's a regular at Tight End University. That's his main claim to fame, we'd like to think. But anyway, okay. So I'm going to set the stage here. So I just one of the things that we talk about on the podcast a lot. So we kind of toy around with, the mindful meditation stuff really came to us as we were trying to work with George and some of the other athletes, just about mindset and mental prep. And so, because life's not easy, and you got to be resilient, and you got to get up every day, and you got to go do things you don't necessarily really want to do, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm always kind of curious. I know, you weren't in sports in the same way the boys were, and all that kind of thing. But even so, back in the day, so raising the 2 boys, going to work, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how intentional you might have been, but what would you describe your kind of mindset or kind of perspective on life as you kind of were working and trying to raise the kids, dealing with the up and down economy, all those kind of things, and then some of the challenges that you faced in doing all that? How would you describe your mindset, and how did you kind of stay strong under fire like that?
Well, really just trying to hang on, just hold on and get everything done. No, yeah. I mean, their mother was very good when it came to homework. She was certainly more academically oriented than I was.
Right.
And she took the lead and did it very well when it came to a lot of that. I mean, I had my moments. I wasn't totally out of it, but I ended up more trainer, chauffeur, chef.
Okay.
The focus on balanced meals at night, and certainly tried to get them to eat decent stuff in the morning. Lunches, they were on their own. I give them a couple sandwiches, a couple bucks, and who knows what they're going to do with it.
Exactly. Okay. Well, do you when you would get laid off and that kind of thing, how was your mindset with all those kind of things? I mean, and I know you say, just kind of surviving, but at the same, and and there is some truth to that. At some point, when you got a mortgage and kids in the house and a wife, it doesn't really matter how you feel about it. You still got to go out and find a way to. You got to find it.
Yeah, you got to find a way to, to contribute to the solvency of the family, if you will.
Yeah, for sure.
It was. I mean, it is. I only got laid off once after the kids.
Oh, okay.
But that was also the last job I actually had.
Oh, excellent.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I got laid off, and like I say, I got a call the next morning, and came in, and they asked me to come back, and I went in there, and they wanted me to continue just servicing accounts because I had relationships with superintendents and in coke plants and BOF shops, various parts of the steel making process.
Right.
And I did that. I did that, and I had a buddy who did high temperature lubricants and coatings, and he had this. Well, he had a regular job.
Yeah.
But he was a sales manager. He said, "Well, if you're going in, they could probably use this. And so picked up a line there. Suddenly I'm self-employed as a manufacturer's rep.
Right.
And I just ran with that.
Okay.
As I said, that was that feast and famine, a lot of miles, a lot of driving. You want to limit your overnights. Okay.
Exactly.
So, you got 2.5 hours each way to Pittsburgh. You got 4 hours to get down into northern Kentucky.
Yep.
You have 5 hours to get over to Gary, Indiana and back. And, Buffalo's another 3 hours. So, a lot of trips like that.
Yep.
And you just, running through cars like crazy.
Right.
You buy a used car at an auction. Usually you try and find something that was repossessed because it had low miles. Then you just run it into the ground, get rid of it at 200,000, and then go get another one.
Right.
And so it was basically just trying to stay, one step ahead of the bill collector and keep the kids with everything they needed in their various activities.
Right. Yeah. Just kind of strap yourself into the saddle and
just get going.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me. We'll get into talking about the boys then. Let me just do a quick summary for our audience just on mindful parenting. So mindfulness in and of itself, reminder, is just paying attention to the object of our attention without judgment. So it just notices what we're thinking about. That's all it is. So a lot of times we think and we don't always pay attention to what we're thinking. So that's the notion about mindfulness, just kind of stepping back, like watching ourselves on a TV screen. Anyway, just a couple concepts for our audience. Thoughts are just thoughts. Feelings are just feelings. So stuff comes into our heads all the time. Doesn't mean it's right. Often mine aren't. And it's okay to have whatever feelings pop up. Sometimes we get pissed off about stuff and we add shame or blame to that kind of stuff, and we don't really control our emotions. So it's okay. Only issue is what are we going to do with the thoughts that we have and the feelings we have? It's more about how we act them out and live them out. So that gets to that we have a choice. So I've talked a lot about the Viktor Frankl quote about the gap between stimulus and response. And so there's that whole piece. And so in that gap, we can make a choice about how we want to show up with people. And I know if you're in sales, you have to do that because you knock on the door and you're going to walk in and you might have just 3 hours of hell on the highway, but you got to put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
You got to switch roles and you roll in there and you got to perform in that kind of way. And so those are the kind of choices that adulting requires of us. The other thing we talk a lot about is breath and body connection. So as we breathe, we control our body, and as our body's controlled, we can control our mind. So we worked on that. A couple techniques, the stop technique and the 4 A's, all that kind of stuff. So mindful parenting, we just talked about having a vision about who you want to be when you show up with your kids. The golden rule about always try to demonstrate or be the person that you want your kids to grow up to be. Having kind of some core values around it. And then just realizing too, we've had a lot of conversation, Ed, in some of the past ones. And I'm going to ask you some of these things about as the kids get old, just about the time they're 3, you just kind of figured out what it meant to be a toddler. And then next thing you know, they're off to kindergarten. And so as the kids change, you're trying to figure it all out, but then your role has to change because their stage of life is different.
Sure.
When you go to elementary and all that. So I think, I know personally, I got caught a couple of times, not quite fully adapting to how fast they were changing, and sure. I was kind of thinking this stage is going to stay forever. So anyway, so those are kind of some of the things that we've been talking about. The other one, there was a great one we spent talking about, we call it using the difficulty, that when things get tough, being able to sit down with your kids and have a conversation, whether they got cut from a team or got a bad grade or whatever, trying to process it with them in a way that just says, how can we flip this into an opportunity for learning? How can we move on from it? That kind of stuff. So anyway, I guess one thing I wanted to start with, Ed, when you grew up, and I call it growing up Kelce, what was your childhood like and how was your relation? I mean, how many siblings did you have and what was it like growing up in your household?
It was just my sister and I.
Okay.
Both parents, my brother didn't work when we were real little. She started working as a waitress, doing brunch and late lunches. She got home for 4 or 5 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
My father every day, Monday through Friday, up and at 'em. He was a policeman for a while, but he spent most of his life as a messenger for Brinks.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's because at the time,
Okay.
Brinks paid better than the police
So
departments
yeah,
did.
right. Yeah.
You know, and he, there was by the time everybody got home, everybody, they were both dog tired when they got home. Uh, I would say when it came to youth sports, uh, they would catch a couple of baseball games that I played in every season. That was about that would have to be a Saturday afternoon
Yep.
type thing. Certainly CYO football. That was Sunday morning. My father didn't miss any of those.
Love it.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't. But you go to baseball practice. You either get your bike or you start walking.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Same thing to football practice or anything else. You didn't. There wasn't the emphasis on getting the kids to as much. And that's the other thing. One thing that was probably the same for you. You weren't involved in as much athletics as your kids were. Right?
Well, they really changed. I mean, I was a wrestler and football player, so that was my high school stuff. I swam up until like high school, but and they kind of shuttled, but there wasn't club sports. There was none of that, like going state to state and all that kind of crazy stuff. It was
Oh,
all
we did all that.
yeah. Well, we did it with George and Emma, but like me
Oh
personally,
yeah, for us, yeah, no.
those things weren't going on. So, like and most of the time, you're right. It was like ride my bike. It was about 2.5 miles to the high school, or most. We were kind of outside edge, but my folks didn't think anything about. There's your bike. See you later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't. She would swing by and get me on sometimes, but anyway. So, but it was all good. It wasn't anything like what I think you and I experienced as parents. So,
Sure.
let me ask you this then: coming out as you're leaving, you're graduating high school. What were some of the core lessons then you might have learned from your family? Like, how did that shape you and your perspective on the world?
I don't know. You get a job and you go to work. That was that was that was the focus of everybody in my generation at that time. Now I did go to college a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have 2 years of credits if you between community college, Cleveland State. Actually went to Ohio State for 2 quarters.
All right.
Yeah,
You're a Buckeye.
I ran out of money,
Yep.
and that was the end of that.
What were you studying?
Then I was going to be a social studies teacher.
Okay.
That was the idea, but that was too much work.
College was.
College, yeah, college was too much work. I wasn't well enough read, and no excuses. I didn't. It wasn't worth the effort as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, and I think there are a lot of other
Yeah,
choices.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's okay. And in fact, in a way, I think it gets too cookie cutter. Just high school, then you're supposed to go to college, and you don't even know what the hell you're going to be doing. And
Right.
you spend 4 years and you come out $300,000 in debt or whatever. So it's I think the world's a lot different. You see a lot more younger people just doing entrepreneurships, getting certificates, getting really skill-based training, and just going out in the world and doing stuff. So, but all right. Well, they taught you then, I guess, hard work, and nobody's going to hand you anything, and you better man up and get out there and take care of it yourself.
How you treat people is much more important than how much you have.
Okay.
That was something that was always,
Yeah.
that was, and that was a sentiment at the time that seemed to be echoed by the butcher, okay,
Right.
and that you passed on your way to school, by the nuns, by your lay teachers. How you treat, that was the most important thing.
Right. There was like a civic hospitality.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It kind of
I
exists.
mean, I don't even know that they teach civics anymore.
Yeah. But there was in those neighborhoods or the community, there was this kind of people knew each other. Where I grew up, all the moms knew all the kids running around, and they didn't hesitate to get on your butt if you were doing something stupid, that kind of thing.
If you did, I lived in the city of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're walking home from school and you do something stupid, like you go to dart across the street and don't look, and the car's got to screech to a stop. There was a guy in a bar, or as I mentioned, the butcher shop or the ice cream store, on the phone to your mother or father.
Right.
So, you don't believe what he just did. So you get home and they're
right.
What's wrong with, they know all about it. And that's, that I think some of that is missing.
Yeah.
But it's gone and it's not coming back. So.
Yeah. Different world. So, okay. Well, let's see. So when the boys were born, let's see, check the years again. I got those. So 2000, 1987 and 89. So what was the Kelce household like? And how was it when they were first born? So, and we've kind of touched on it, so you don't have to go over everything again, but so in the late 80s, going into the 90s, what was going on at the Kelce household?
Again, just trying to dealing with with daycare, preschool, all of that, and then the kindergarten years before they actually got into regular school.
Yeah.
They didn't do too much athletically because there wasn't that much for 5-year-olds where we were living at that time. We were actually in a far west suburb of Cleveland at that time, and we really the things changed when we moved to Cleveland Heights for a couple of reasons. We moved to Cleveland Heights because of the reputation of their school system. That was a huge factor. Also moved to Cleveland Heights because we needed to be much closer to downtown Cleveland. That is, Donna, she had gone to college, got her degree, got her MBA. She was an executive with a bank.
Yep.
Every morning she had to go downtown. So you keep that commute, cut a half hour off of that commute. You've just given her 2.5 hours of her week back. You know what I mean? Which is huge when there's little ones.
Yep.
And so we moved to Cleveland Heights, and when we made that move, that's really when things started to get really hectic, because they were 4 and 6. All right, Jason's going into first grade. Travis is one more year of preschool before kindergarten, and that's also when the athletics started big.
Yeah,
that is, certainly there. I think Jason was playing coach pitch. There were community services. We had soccer teams the kids were on. A year after moving to Cleveland Heights, Jason got started playing hockey. And of course, then Travis followed him at that. So at that point, we're juggling all these things, trying to keep them healthy, getting them as much exposure to different sports as we could.
Okay.
It became apparent real early that there was something special about the boys. Mm. I came from a big family. And my father had 5 sisters, 4 brothers that I knew of.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, three brothers that I knew. And so family gatherings, which were frequent, impromptu.
Yeah.
There was a toddler someplace. Okay, there was always a little kid around, and you play ball with him. You roll a kid a ball, he rolls it back. Doesn't take long, as you know, before you realize something's going on here. All right, this kid's a little too good for a 2-year-old. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you keep your mouth shut. You don't brag on. I never really saw the point of the getting all excited about it and bragging to people about it and that kind of stuff. I figured, let's see where this takes them.
See where it goes. Yep.
Yeah. And kind of kept that same mentality throughout, all the way through high school. I mean, it became very obvious that colleges were interested in them at a very young age.
Right.
Now, part of that was, they didn't play football until they got to middle school.
Okay.
There was no football, no youth football programs around the Heights.
Yeah.
And when they got to middle school, we started going to an Ohio State camp. Ohio State, Iowa does too. They put on these huge camps.
Yep.
You got all kinds of 1AA Division II coaches there to help process 300-400 kids at a time.
Yep.
And so they got some exposure there. And I'm sure coaches noticed the same thing I did. There is something going on here. You know what I mean? There's something special about these guys. And so at that point, your life becomes a balance between, first of all, making sure that they realize that all these wonderful physical, athletic abilities they have doesn't make you a better man. Okay? That all is wrapped up in how you treat people. And the other thing is to keep them focused, keep them healthy, help them find which one their passion is.
Yeah.
And feed that.
Okay. And let me just, in that stage, say up until they go to high school, and you move and all those kind of things, how would you describe your parenting style? There's a lot of different ways to approach from discipline and maybe tell us a little bit about how were the boys? I'm guessing a little bit of sibling rivalry, a lot of competition, probably a couple fist fights here and there, but how did you intervene? What was your kind of style? What was your parenting technique?
I didn't care for the fighting at all. I know they say boys will be boys, let them duke it out. They could do that a little bit, but stop.
Right.
First of all, you shouldn't be fighting with each other. Okay, you're brothers. And second of all, you can't fight with other kids because you have an advantage. You have much faster hand-eye coordination. You're bigger, stronger, and faster than all the other kids in your school. So that kind of route, and I've been criticized for that. People have told me, well, you should have let them go, should have let them fight. Fighting to make them tougher, how much tougher could they have been?
Well, I was going to say, I don't know, man. I'm just going to say playing center for 13 years in the NFL. I don't know.
How much? Yeah.
I don't know if there's and you can get pissy at me. You can claim other positions, but you have a 340-pound dude right on your edge every single freaking play. And to do that as many seasons as he played every single snap and every game, it's just unbelievable that way. So, and same for Travis. I know he's, gone through a few things here and there, but still showing up every day, taking care of business and doing all the things that they do. But playing inside like that against really huge people is really tough. So yeah, I can't say that pulling them apart really impacted their toughness. It seems like
no, that's and there was a little bit of a worrywart. I am, when they're starting to get into a fight, all of a sudden I'm looking at the sharp edges on a countertop, okay, or the edge of the stove, or the coffee table isn't rounded. You know what I mean?
I do.
You can beat each other up. I do not want to go to the emergency room with a cracked open skull.
Yeah, we don't.
Or something broken.
Yeah, and as they got bigger, that became probably more of an option.
Oh, much more.
Okay. Well, just tell us, how about the boys? Were they really different personality-wise, or was each I know they're each their own individual, but are they pretty similar, or did they have different personality streaks?
They were similar. To a point. Jason was always a little more intense. Had to stay with Jason. Had to keep on him about containing your emotions. Certainly when, and not just in a physical sense like you would with hitting people in hockey, but soccer was another one. He had a great coach. Would have to get him to stop.
Yeah.
And hold him and tell him, you got to breathe, because he gets so intense and so wound up. Travis was a little more, happy-go-lucky. Travis certainly had all the competitiveness that Jason had. But Travis was also out here to have fun.
He's a little more of he's a little surfer boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit of that, yeah.
Dude, hey, take it easy, chill out a little bit. It's still rip your heart out on the field, but Just
Yeah.
yeah. All right. And did that kind of continue? What about their kind of sibling rivalry? I know you said they fought. Did they compete in sports against each other, or were they usually on the same teams, or how'd that
Well,
work?
they weren't on the same teams. They, well, obviously, high school, they were on the same team
Yeah.
uh, for for 1 year
Yeah.
because Travis, he didn't have enough classes in his freshman year, and he failed French, and he was ineligible for football the following fall.
Oh my gosh. I
And
never
that
heard.
was Jason's senior year.
Oh,
And they had Travis pinned in as Travis would have been the quarterback
right.
with that team. So that was tough. That one, I got a lot of, I had coaches after me to campaign with the teacher, just give him a D, whatever. Let's just keep him on the field.
Yeah.
And not just coaches. My ex was all over it.
Right.
This is stupid. He's never going to use French. He's had it 2 years. Just give him the pass and let him go on about, and I eventually, and the French teacher did not want to talk about this. And I had been in to see so many teachers that I had a reputation at the high school. If you want to see me because of something that the boys are doing wrong, I'm there right away. Conversely, if there's something that I have questions about, I'm not doing this by text or email.
Yeah.
I expect you to meet with me and talk about this. And I did, and I had no defense for Travis. He basically didn't do the work. So if I was going to blame anybody, it would have been myself and their mother, because we weren't on top of that enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were coaches that great guys who were really kind of hoping that I could, smooth it. And I just didn't think that was right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll talk to the teacher. My thoughts are, what can he do? What can he do to get that a passing grade? And she said there was nothing. You had to get involved, 2 months ago.
Right.
And so,
C'est la vie. There we go.
Okay. So he had 1 year that he played with Jason in high school. And of course, he duplicated this in a different way when he got to college.
Right.
He had, both boys redshirted.
Yeah.
So Jason's second year playing football, Travis was redshirted. Jason's third year, Travis was on the team, played a lot, didn't get to be a starter because that was a pretty good team, that Cincinnati team in that year.
Yeah.
And Brian Kelly played his seniors, which it is what it is. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And they, it's like he told Travis, he says, I really don't need you to win. I can win without you, and I got to let seniors play. And but he did. He got a few games. I got a great picture of his first NCAA play. He was 2009. 2009 at Rutgers. UC was supposed to get creamed. Rutgers was going to, and Brian Kelly just runs right over him.
Right.
And he gets down before the first quarter, gets into the red zone, brings Travis in as the Wildcat.
Okay.
Wildcat was all the rage because of Tebow and what's his name was in with him down in Florida.
Yeah.
And so I have a picture of Travis running the ball in with his hand on his brother's back, basically following Jason into the end zone.
That's cool.
So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's really cool. All right. Well, so you've kind of jumped, now we're all the way into college, but just over the evolution there, we were talking about this earlier. How did the different stages of the boys, from toddler, and then they're elementary, and they develop their level of self-awareness. Their personalities are kind of coming out. Then they start to get, more into sports and all that kind of stuff. Did your role as the parent, I mean, did the way in which you approached parenting the boys, did that change at all over the time? Or, anything that kind of jumps out at you there? Like, were you
I think the focus became, you don't want to raise a couple assholes. You know what I mean? But well, for lack of a better, I mean, let's face it, you got guys that have a lot of physical ability, a lot of athletic ability.
Yep.
And, we all know a lot of those guys are buttheads, and, when that kind of really became the focus of the mantra. It's that, it's how you treat people is what depends on what makes the measure of a man. It's not how big, strong, and fast you are. It's how you treat people.
So,
and I'm and that worked, and that was echoed by his mother, certainly.
Sure.
I mean, that was the main focus.
Did you guys? I mean, did you guys have a family thing where you would sit at either the dinner table or otherwise, where you kind of had like kind of real, more meaty kind of conversations about those kind of things?
I think we would have conversations about what happened today.
Yeah.
And if I had been called in by a teacher for something one of the boys did, which was frequent.
Yeah.
We would talk about those things. Certainly, they demonstrated early on that they knew how you treat people is what makes you who you are.
Yeah.
And so just like a constantly reminding them that, a lot of, and yourself, and you've seen it not just with your kids, but with other kids that you've coached. They can be so good. You get so many people pumping them up, to where, like I always hope, you're not as good as everybody says, and you're not as bad as everybody says. All right. Don't be careful reading the newspaper.
Got to throw out, it's like diving. You got to throw out the high and throw out the low.
That's right. Yeah.
In reality, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for sure. So, okay. Let's see. Well, then, so you guys you finished your divorce. If I just jump to that point, when Travis went to Cincinnati, or when did you guys do that?
No, in 2000, Travis was at Cincinnati. This was 2010. Her job was being eliminated in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Now the bank was still there, but her specific job had been eliminated, and she took an early retirement, and at the same time got a new job with a bank in Atlanta.
Okay.
And she left to go and do that. I was getting the house in order, getting the house ready to sell. At that point, Jason was entering his last year at UC.
Okay.
Or his last season, I should say. Before we put the house on the market, Travis had asked, it looks like, he says, could you hang on to it for a couple of years? Because he had talked about wanting to buy it. And I said, yeah, we can do this for a couple of years. That's all right. And as it turned out, eventually we're just going to get rid of it. This isn't a house you want to buy. You can't manage a rental property, one rental property in Cleveland Heights.
Right.
Manage that from Kansas City.
Yeah.
And it's not the smartest investment you can make. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of how that, a year after that, we got divorced formally, but we have been living apart for a year.
Yeah.
And that's how all that worked out.
Yeah. And the boys are in college. They're, pretty well, not launched. I wouldn't say that, but I mean, they're on their way and not going to be at home all the time and all that kind of stuff. So, okay. Well, then let's talk about, as we're getting into the, kind of the NFL years, you know what I mean? So the high school stuff goes pretty well. They go to Cincinnati, each have pretty, solid careers. And so they drafted, I think, 6th and 3rd respectively in their different years, Eagles and the Chiefs and all that kind of stuff. So how was the draft? What were you doing when let's start with Jason, as he's finishing Cincinnati and gets drafted, where were you working, and and I guess what I was trying to get to is how did that change your life? Obviously over the years it's kind of changed, but um it, with those guys going through all that kind of stuff, and just kind of how did that evolution with your role as a parent with those guys? Obviously, like in the early years, we're protecting, then you're kind of teaching and mentoring, and then college, it's a little bit more distance. You're kind of just keeping them in the rails, and then they go off into the NFL, and and I know we try to participate with them, but it's kind of it's their show.
Grown men
Yeah.
making a ton of money.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So talk about that transition as Jason gets into the NFL. How did your relationship maybe not change, but just evolve a little bit, as he becomes an NFL professional and his career takes off and all that kind of stuff. And then Travis joins him a couple years later.
Well, that Jason, I've always said, adversity builds character. If you got to work for something, if you got to fight through battles, that was like adversity on steroids with Jason.
Oh, okay.
No, from early on, he was always the best player on some questionable teams. And always had good coaches, had good teammates, just was never with a lot of talented players.
Okay.
When I want to temper that, we're going to change. Wasn't playing with guys that were at the same level he was.
Yeah.
Okay. So he always wanted to be on that championship team and always eluded them.
Yeah.
College, his junior year of high school, you get this influx of material from every school that has a football program.
Yeah.
Every high school kid gets it. And then when push comes to shove, there's no Division I scholarships there.
Right.
So he's got to fight through that. Decides, we can do a D2 partial scholarship with 1AA. Had a couple of those. But he decided he's going to walk on. So picks University of Cincinnati is where he's going to walk on.
Yep.
And within a year, he gets a scholarship. So that was a lot. He battled through that. And that, I think, made him a stronger, better person because of it.
Yeah.
Then you come to his senior year, after his fourth year, Kelly leaves. Got a new coach coming in Butch Jones. Lost a lot of talent that year. Not a good year. The only year that Jason was at UC that he didn't go to a bowl game.
Right.
Things are tough, but he's still, there's talking maybe he can make it to, might get taken in the third round. He had some good visits in Philadelphia and had a great visit with Belichick. He had a few different visits, and so things are optimistic. Then the combine comes. He's got his invitation to the combine, and he's sick. Now, he thinks he has a stomach flu. He's incredibly weak, so he goes there, and all he does is he does the running and the cone drills and stuff.
Yep.
Couldn't do the lifting. Big red flag. Gets out of the combine, a little disappointed and dejected.
Yep.
Looking forward to getting healthy, ready for his pro day. Well, lo and behold, comes back from the combine, goes to see a doctor because, this is a little long for his stomach flu. And it's appendix.
Oh.
Had to have his appendix taken out. Goodbye so much for the pro day.
Yeah,
you know
right.
What I mean?
Yep.
So he's rolling into the draft. Nobody's seen him lift a weight. Okay? Nobody's, all they can do is look at game film.
Yeah.
And
let me ask you this. Is it true? I think he ran the fastest O-line 40-yard dash his year of the combine, though, didn't he?
I think he ran the fastest anyone did that year. I mean, not just up to that year and including that year.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
it's like 4.89 or something like that.
Something like that, and even that wasn't. I mean, he had been timed faster than that.
Right.
Uh,
How big
he
was
was
he when he? What did he weigh coming out of college?
he was around 270, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
270, 275.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe a little more, but not a whole lot.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, he topped. That 295 that was his listed playing weight in
Right.
all his years with the Birds. But that was a struggle for him to
Yeah.
keep that weight there. He just couldn't. Everybody wants him up at 315. He just couldn't get there. And then Jeff Stoutland come along. Now he had Howard Mudd, and Howard Mudd, kind of a grumpy old guy. Stop whining about gaining weight and listen to what I'm teaching you. You know what I mean?
I know Howard because when I played at Iowa, Kirk Ferentz came. He was my line coach. Then I was with him on the staff for 4 years. So Howard and Kirk were really good friends, and we used to always every summer we'd go to one of the NFL teams, and he would invariably we'd run by Howard wherever Howard was during.
Yeah.
So it was he's quite a guy.
Yeah, he was, and so certainly when Chip Kelly came in, he got Jeff Stoutland.
Yeah.
And Jeff Stoutland, everybody's still trainers and everybody is still pushing Jason. You got to get heavier, got to get heavier. And Stoutland basically said, "Don't worry about getting heavier. Work on your footwork. That'll make you better." And he listened to Stoutland, and you could see what happened. I mean,
worked out pretty good. Yeah,
worked out pretty good. But
so he
struggled.
Yeah.
That draft day was, didn't go the first round, didn't go the second round. Then went to a bowling alley bar thing on that Saturday, had everybody in the family there,
Yeah.
And time just drags on. His name isn't getting called.
Oh, we know. Man. I'm right there with you, dog. We know where that is.
And then,
yeah.
Then we ended up back in the house where he was living with 5 or 6 other football players, and by now it's the beginning of the 6th round. He's almost hoping he doesn't get drafted because he said if he doesn't get drafted, he had made the point. If he doesn't get drafted, he's going right to Philadelphia and try to just walk on there.
Yeah.
And then he was coming. He said, "I've walked on before. I can do this."
Yeah.
But then Andy picks him at the end of the 6th round. We're down. We're sitting in a garage that was used as a rec room, just me and him, and he's just sitting there staring at his phone. I'm watching the TV that's down there, and he gets a call and gets up and walks away. So I knew this was
a call.
This was the call. So.
Yeah. Well, it sure worked out. That's how much all those smart folks in the NFL know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. Well, what do you? I don't know. He's never complained about it. I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is.
It is. You just have to.
I think it was Andy Reid had told him on a visit, don't worry about where you're drafted. It's none of that matters when you put on the pads. Now, I do think it matters a little bit. I think first, second round, third round is going to get a little more attention. Or going to get a little more opportunity to fail. Let me put it that way.
Well, they are because the organization looks bad if they end up cutting them because you pay them a bunch of money for their contract, and then it looks like you can't scout or know anything. So Niners have been down that road a few times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not trying to bad. It's just such an unpredictable thing. You just really don't know how it's all going to play out. So,
but yeah, he was very happy when Andy called.
Yeah.
And he went to the Eagles, and it was, as a coach, I'll tell you a funny story. Andy has these things he does with the offense, and I'm sure a lot of clubs do this. But he'll run these we call them the Sonic route, where you're going to go no huddle, back-to-back, 15 plays.
Yep.
Even you score, you turn around, and you keep coming back, no break, no extra point. You're running these 15 plays as fast as you can. And they're like 12 plays into it, and he falls down, and he's slow to get up. And Andy asked him, he said, Coach came over and asked, "Are you all right? You hit your head?" I told him, "No, and I'm gassed. I'm just," and of course, Andy launches into a lecture. "Do you realize the opportunity you're being given, you know?" And so after that, and that happened at a practice, the first practice that I went to at Lehigh, and it's cold and it's rainy and it's, just a crummy day, and everybody goes in and except Jason. Jason, he's doing wind sprints back and forth, like 30-yard wind sprints from one side of the field to the other. He's just doing those for about 20 minutes. And I asked him, I said, "What the hell are you doing?" He said, "I got criticized because I'm not in shape. And that's not going to happen again."
There you go. There you go.
So yeah, so it was a tough go for him.
Ed, though, that's a quality, though, to take feedback, not shut down, and because your aspirations, dreams, and visions for yourself are so high, you're willing to try to take immediate action to rectify whatever it is that.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's, I think, being curious and being open to feedback, and then being willing to do the hard work required in order to kind of make additional steps. That doesn't lie within everybody. You know what I mean? And so I just read, there's a great article, but anyway, it was called about winning's not for everybody. And you think it is, but there's another side to it that it's really not, because for folks to do all the shit that you have to do in order to consistently show up at the highest level, a lot of people really don't want to do that. They'd like to win, but they don't want to do all those other kind of things. So, yeah. So
I played rugby after high school.
Yeah.
With a city team. And one of the things in rugby was rugby isn't so much a game as it is a test of how well you've prepared yourself for this day.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something I kind of repeated to the guys a lot.
Yeah. There you go.
Are you prepared for what's about to come? Are you ready? Have you done everything you can to be the best teammate you can be?
Right.
And they both seem to take that to heart.
Yeah. Well, and that's where the preparation does come in, because you don't get ready that day.
No.
I mean, so it's like, and then if you're not feeling, it really undermines your confidence a little bit. You're not quite sure and all that kind of stuff. So we always talk about that confidence is all built on, you have to earn confidence. I'm all for affirmations and visualizations and all that. And I think all that stuff's important. But at the same time, if you know in your heart of hearts you haven't done the work, you haven't been in the gym, you haven't been doing your footwork, you haven't been doing X, Y, Z, whatever. I mean, that in your mind.
Go home.
Yeah.
Somebody else, other guys have been doing it.
Yeah. When you're not doing it, somebody else is. And so it's really that kind of thing. And so that's a great attribute with that. So, see, you're popping out all these coaching philosophies right now. See, I asked you earlier and you're said, well, get out of bed and go get it done, which is kind of the thing. But all right. So Jason's in, and then it's not very long though, within a couple of years, that he's the guy, right? I think, was it his second?
He started that.
That's right.
That's right. Because they had a guy named.
Yeah. Right. No, go ahead. Yeah.
They had, I can't think of Jamal's last name. Their center at the time, who had been a starter 2 years prior to that, but he tore a pec muscle or a bicep or something the year before Jason. So he was back to be center. And the guy they had been the center the 2010 season, had moved to guard. And it only took about less than a week, and Jason was splitting reps between the ones and the twos.
Right.
Shortly after that first preseason game, he was strictly with the ones, and never looked back.
Yeah.
And you take a little grief from some veterans. I mean, let's face it, they're looking at a 6th-round draft choice. This is like cannon fodder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Your body, that's all you are. Well, he had a little something to say about that.
I know. Well, George went through the same thing. 5th rounder wasn't expected. They had guy was picked in the second round. He ended up at Pittsburgh. I'm blanking on his name right now. But anyway, they had bodies in the building. And, but, Shanahan was kind of cleaning house and starting over, and he got a chance and, got the starting job, partway through, and that was the end of that. So it just, you don't know, if you can adjust and the other piece I'm just going to toss in, because I know how hard center is to play, because you got to identify, all the fronts. You got to know everybody's position and job. The mental aspect of making that transition as a freshman into the NFL, I don't think people always appreciate cognitively what that requires. You got to not only be able to do the job physically, but you have to be so well cognitively, because if you're thinking like you're not sure what to do, you can't do it.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble. Yeah.
So now he had a Michael Vic.
Oh yeah.
Vic was his quarterback. Vic, you say whatever you want to about the troubles he's had. Vic is a very smart guy. Mike is a very smart guy, and he made a lot of those calls. When Jason first started, and Jason would spend time with him, and Vic would help him recognize what some of these these calls you got to make are. So, and he had Howard Mudd School, and Jamal Jackson was the center. Jamal was on the team Jason's rookie season. He didn't play, but every time Jason came off the field, standing there, Jamal was right there and started talking to him about, you did this, you got to watch out for that.
Right.
So, I mean, he had some guys in his corner early on between Howard and Michael. And, you got to take your hat off to Jamal, because, he's helping a guy end his, he's basically lost his job to this guy. And rather than sulk and whine about it, he's up there doing everything he can to make him better.
So that's all you can really hope for is, in your career, you have that opportunity to both to play and to contribute that way. But, everybody sees it because you see it every year with different players and positions. And so you just hope, as that transition starts happening, that you can give back to the game and to someone and help them like somebody helped you. Because I'm sure Jason did that with some people. There's no doubt in with the Eagles over the years. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Well, anyway, so Jason gets launched. I know he had a knee injury in there, but anyway, he's going to be the starter. He's the guy. Eventually signs a new contract, gets paid. And then in the midst of that, then you got Travis coming out of Cincinnati, and then he gets drafted in the third. And now all of a sudden you got two guys, two of your boys playing in the NFL. So talk a little bit about that transition. And, the other thing, Ed, too, is I just wonder, like everybody handles this kind of different. One of the things about being in the league, you got marketing stuff, you got contract negotiations, you got all that other kind of bullshit and all that. How did you help manage that? Or like, what was your role within, as both of the guys come out, like picking an agent, all that kind of stuff? Because I
didn't have any input in the picking an agent. Certainly there was no shortage of agents trying to convince me. I mean, I'd have guys over to the house in Cleveland, and Jason was, the NFL is very clear. Well, not the NFL, but NCAA at the time is very clear. If you announce that you've chosen an agent, you're now a professional, and you're not playing college football anymore. And so Jason he wouldn't tell anybody no, he wouldn't tell anybody yes. Now he had picked out his guy, but he just, his thing was he'd give everybody who called him wanted to say, you got to talk to my dad first. And he'd send them to me, and they would pitch me on why they should be representing Jason.
Okay.
And that was his out. That way he isn't bothered by it. Coincidentally, the guy that he chose I never met before he got done with college. I met JB afterwards before the draft. But
oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a good role. If we can be a shield to filter some stuff out so they can just focus on football and doing all that. So how has that relationship and your kind of role with both of the boys
evolved over time? I mean, their success only grew and grew and grew. They made more money, all that kind of stuff, Super Bowls and all those kind of things. As things, despite all of the whirlwind that stuff can bring, have you guys been able to stay kind of in the same niche, or maybe how has it evolved for you?
I don't know that I am much of an advisor anymore. I can remind them, like certainly Jason, Travis, not yet, but I can remind Jason of things in his when he was real little, like toddler age, and you know that I wish I had done differently.
Yeah.
So he would know. So he would know that as he's raising. Plus the difference between, I had it very easy. I had two boys. All right. Jason's got three girls.
Yeah.
That's and he's doing great at it. I mean,
Right.
he's present in every little bit of their lives all the time. So.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of these. How about if the boys were sitting here with us, what would they, how would they describe you as a parent?
Oh, I don't know. A little bit of a taskmaster.
Okay.
Probably. Certainly someone who was there when you needed them.
Yeah. Were you go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, were you a hugger? Were you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
Everybody in the family. Yeah. There would be issues they would have from time to time, and it really wasn't so much coming to me for advice as it was coming to me to tell me about a situation and what they've done, and waiting for me to say, yeah, that's probably the smart move, or that was a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Just really just hashing things out in their own mind.
Yep.
And I used to get these calls from Jason at the end of the well, I shouldn't say I used to. I probably have them 3, maybe 4 years in a row. After the second preseason game, because and this, he come back. I get this. First of all, I hate preseason games.
Yep.
I watch them for as long as they're playing, then I'm done. And so I get this call at midnight, 1:00 in the morning. He's on a tarmac in Baltimore or someplace, or got it going back home. And I get a call from him, and invariably he'd start with, I don't know. We got some troubles here. I don't know how this is going to work out. Maybe I should have gotten out of the game. And he told me, he said, I got enough money. I saved my money. If I quit today, I'll never have to work again. I said, well, the problem is you can't quit at the middle of August or the end of August. You're going to quit. You got to quit in March. You give your teammates and your coaches time. And then we go on and we talk about the team and talk about the troubles. And, don't be afraid. You can have conversations with your coaches about these things. Right. And basically just let him vent. And the last time that I got that call was the 2017. They had a terrible, I keep calling him Nick, but Nick was the quarterback. The coach they had, their Super Bowl coach, coaches Jacksonville. Right now. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Because CJ Beathard's down there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, geez, what am I doing?
You tell the story, I'll look it up.
I'll tell you, so you look it up. But he tells me, he says, we're looking, he said, we struggled, we couldn't get a first down. He said, and he talked to the coach, said, we got to go. We did our 3 times out there, but didn't get a first down. We got to go out until we get a first down. Said, I don't want another year like last year, where everything is, everybody's going to get criticized. We're not going to make the playoffs. We're going to be one and done. And he said, maybe I should have quit. And even before because he said, I know I can't quit in August. But then he went on to start talking about how Carson Wentz was developing as a quarterback. And he talked, then he started talking about a couple other guys on the offensive line. They're showing a lot of promise and just got to get a little technique down. This or that receiver, if he studied the playbook a little more, he could really break out. And, we're like 45 minutes at 2 a.m. I'm listening to this. And he ends with, this could be a pretty special season. I said, well, then why don't you just go make it a special season? He said, all right, I'll see you, Pop. I got to go. The plane's getting, all right. And so, as it turns out, that was a pretty special season.
Yeah. Yeah, head coach down at Doug Peterson.
Doug, yes.
Right.
And so that was the last time I got a call.
Yeah.
After the second preseason game, and I had maybe been 3 or 4 years in a row there, but he made that one. That happened, and big sigh of relief.
Right. Okay. Well, let me ask you this, because we've been going. I don't want to take too much of your time. I just wondered, what were do you like as the boys were growing up? Like, what was one of the? And you talked about going in and talking to teachers and all that kind of stuff, and maybe there wasn't one, but was there a moment or so that was a real challenge that you guys came away from that was like a big lesson? And I guess what I'm trying to get to is, like, looking back on it, what were some of the lessons? Like, if you were sitting down with some new parents, what were some of the lessons that you've derived from your experiences with the boys over all these years? Because you've been through a lot of different stages with them and been involved in their life pretty intimately. So, like, what might be some of the lessons that you would share with, some parents coming out?
Well, no matter how bad things get, the athletic ability that they've demonstrated to get where they are now will do them well, whether they are successful as a professional or not. They will open doors. They will have opportunities that other guys don't. Right, wrong, fair or not, I don't care. That's the way life is. And they gotta kind of keep that in mind. That you're at the top of your profession. You're at the top of the mountain, or maybe you're not there yet, but you're trying to get there. You're still. All of this will be good.
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna, unless you're an idiot, unless you just throw money away, okay. Unless you want to do stupid shit, okay, everything is going to be fine regardless. You have the season-ending injury tomorrow, you're still going to be okay.
Right. Okay.
And even Travis with the troubles he had in college, that was the big thing. That you screwed up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, buddy. But you're still the same guy. You still have the same talent. Just going to make it harder to get where you want to be. But don't, there's no going back and, being a playground wonder in Cleveland Heights, all right? You're here. You're in college. You're going to turn this around.
Yeah. So, I mean, we want to learn from the past, but not get stuck in it.
That's right. Exactly.
And we talk about this in football all the time. You don't want to let the last play impact the next one. And that's true in life too, right? So whatever's there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If you're kind of carrying that shit with you and you're letting it impact how you show up, then it's gonna draw, and now you're paying for that whole thing twice. So all those kind of things. And then I've heard before, you're pretty physical. You like to hug them. And do you think there's any doubt in their mind that they know how much you love them?
No. There's no doubt in their mind. They know how much their mother and I both love them.
Yeah.
There's no, yeah.
So I think that's one of the themes that I've gotten out of this by talking to some other dads. Because sometimes I think men get this kind of, and I don't know whether it's cultural or whatever, about affection and about communicating the way in which we feel for our kids. I think that's changed a lot over the last, 20 plus years. I think it's really different now. So, but I just hear this really common theme that guys grew up with a parent that maybe didn't say much about, wasn't very articulate and didn't say those kind of things. And not that they felt like they weren't loved, but it wasn't very obvious. And they left home just going, I'm going to do that a little bit different.
My challenge to them has always been, don't you dare hold me up as a goal to be like me. Your job is to go out there and be better than me.
Better. Right.
And not just and I certainly, I'm not talking about the football field. You got to go out and be a better parent. You got to be a better man with your neighbors. And, all of these things that I've done wrong, no, you don't get to do them because Dad did them. Your job is to be better.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's see. So I think we were talking before, and you're pretty well retired as far as work goes, and kind of following and supporting the guys and doing those kind of things. So all good there. So we always like to close with, this podcast is named the Hidden Pearls Podcast, based on that we believe everybody has a hidden pearl within them to help make the world a better place. So Ed Kelce, you've been our hidden pearl today. So your little nuggets of wisdom. But I think, though, just this notion that, to the extent that we can be, if we are measured by the way in which we treat our fellow human, it grounds in us a sense of humility and commonness with, the everyday working person, and it would really change the world in a pretty powerful way. So I do want to really acknowledge that. And there's a lot of lessons in here too that we've talked about, just about resiliency and tenacity and, living life large. And sometimes we make mistakes, but it doesn't define us. And we need to just keep working and see the vision, and don't be afraid to sweat, and, and don't be afraid to fail sometimes,
That's right. Yeah.
Because sometimes you do. And none of that really matters. It matters is, do you get back up and kind of get back in the grind? So I wonder, is there a hidden pearl out there that has inspired you of recent in your life?
I was surprised by Travis. I don't know what we were talking about, but I bet you, the thing with the podcast that he's doing with his brother.
Yeah, New Heights.
And the singing he did last year and he's doing this year.
Yeah.
For the Christmas album. He's doing a song with Jason for this year too. And he was talking about, these things aren't in my wheelhouse. This isn't the kind of stuff I'm really good at. He said, but I'm learning. I'm making mistakes. And then he turned around and he gave me the quote from Edison. He said, Edison didn't fail making light bulbs. He learned how not to make them until he got it right.
Yep.
I said, didn't expect that from you, Trav, but I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, he comes off as a kind of surfer dude, but there's a lot going on in there, my man.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
He sees the playing field pretty clearly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows a lot what's going on, and sometimes he acts like he doesn't a little bit, just to kind of play that role. But my man,
there's not very much stuff that gets by him.
So he's always a joy when we have him there. Well, that's a really good lesson. So and I think too, the other point though, I mean, I'm experiencing this because as I'm getting older, and you're kind of going into different directions, trying some new things that are outside of your wheelhouse are really important because it keeps the mind stimulated. And one of the things that I've got like 4 or 5 core values, but one of them is what I call discomfort. Is like, am I doing something on a regular basis that pulls me out of my comfort zone? Whether it's physically, athletically. Like this last spring, I took 3 months of acting classes, which was brutally painful. But I'm always kind of like curious about it, but like being on a stage with other people and like doing lines and like really trying to get into a character. I just was always super curious about it. I was kind of been a fan of acting in general and just like the whole concept of playing other people and all that. So it was really different being on stage and doing that. So that there was a lot of discomfort there, but it was really fun in another way. So that kind of thing. So I think that's really great. And I kind of see Travis and Jason both in that realm. They're not too afraid to step across the line into a new territory where they've not been. So we can certainly do that. So, well, all right, Ed, any last kind words or words of wisdom?
No, this is fun. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was great.
I've really enjoyed following the guys. Was always a Jason fan just because of the O-line stuff, but it's been a real pleasure and a joy. And young Travis coming by and seeing us every year in Nashville. So it's really fun to have him. So we'll have to get you over there for part of that celebration one of these days.
I was in Nashville, not last year, but the year before, because we stopped there on the way back from Tahoe.
Yeah.
Because you had done that like in July.
Yep.
which I think you have it earlier now.
Yeah,
don't
it's usually somewhere in the third to fourth week of June.
Yeah, and this was later because I was flying back with him from I'm pretty sure no, I was flying someplace with him. And we went through Nashville at the stop there, and he had because he was there for the day with you guys.
Oh, he was doing the podcast with us. Yeah.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah, because he flew in a private because he told us he was coming. I can't remember all the things that were going on, but yeah, he just
There was something was going on. I'm not sure why it was there.
Yeah.
I ended up. I think that was Tahoe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's right.
If I'm not mistaken, because he ended up. He had a private jet. He had a private plane, so canceled my commercial flight and just rode with him, and we spent the night in Nashville with him and Ross Travis.
Okay.
Who was a good friend of his, remained a good friend.
Yeah.
And but maybe we'll next year. He goes there.
I'll send you.
All right. I'll send. Okay, and then I'm going to send you the Hidden Pearl Studio. I'll send you the app.
And I'll give you a little free coupon. You just register for it, and then and you just kind of play around in there. So I do a yoga flow. Emma does a bunch of them. There's some breathing techniques, whatever. Just give her a shot and let me know what you think. That'd be great. So, Ed, I just want to say thank you. Really appreciate it. And been really fun just chatting and about the boys and growing up and being a parent and all that kind of stuff. So it's just it's quite a blessing just to be a part of the whole thing, and it's been really fun. So, and I can't imagine with both of the boys and the career that they had, it's just really
how
amazing.
Fortunate you and I are.
It's unbelievable.
With the kids.
Yeah. So, all right, hang on for a minute. I'm going to end the recording. Again, thanks. I want to thank everybody for listening. So we really appreciate that. And so, again, just bouncing around some concepts here with the mindful parenting stuff and just encouraging you to claim the parent you want to be and do what you need to be in order to show up for your kids in the way that you really want to. And I just will remind you that whatever sacrifices it does take, when it's all over, you will never regret it. So we wish you all that kind of love.